So the big question that everybody has is, does this movie live up to the hype? What's up guys, Cam here coming at you with another movie review. Today I am bringing you Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. I went to see this movie last night with a bunch of people. I was so excited. I had heard a lot of good things about this movie, a lot of bad things too, but I was really excited to see this movie finally. The hype had been building over the last couple years, and I figured it was about time to let it all go. Was this movie good? To be honest, I would classify this movie as just a little bit above okay. Don't get me wrong, there is a lot that I enjoy about this movie. There are a lot of things that I found very pleasant, very enjoyable, and very satisfying about this movie. But then there were also a lot of things that I didn't find so good, which I'll be talking about in a minute. This movie was directed by Zack Snyder and stars Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, and Jesse Eisenberg. And this movie is basically about how Batman does not approve of Superman at all. He was there in Metropolis whenever Superman was fighting General Zod, and all the destruction was going on and people were dying, and Batman was there and he was trying to save people, and he wants to make sure that there's no possibility of Superman wiping out the world. I mean, because he could if he really wanted to. Now the first thing I want to talk about is Batman himself, played by Ben Affleck. I think that Ben Affleck does a very good job as this new Batman. The likeness is very similar to the Frank Miller comics, and I think that he gives a fairly good performance. Is it a very compelling performance? It's not really. I mean, there's nothing really overly special about it. I mean, he does a good job, don't get me wrong. It's just not really all that engaging, I don't think. And then Superman, played by Henry Cavill, he does a good job too. He steps up his performance a little bit from Man of Steel, and he does good. I mean, he brings a good sense of charisma to the character, you know, a good sense of drama. He can pull off the dramatic scenes pretty well. But one performance I don't really know what to make of is Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I don't know what they were going for here. I mean, I have never seen the character of Lex Luthor portrayed this way. He's like a psychotic, overly joyful, like tee-hee-hee kind of villain. And I don't know what to make of it. I don't know if it's a really good performance or if it's a really bad performance. I mean, I'm on the fence about it. Now let's get to the action. There isn't really a lot of action in this movie, surprisingly. For a movie called Batman vs. Superman, there isn't really a lot of action. It doesn't really happen until the later half of the movie. And is it good? Yeah, it's actually pretty well done. The action is very well filmed. It's very well choreographed. The stunt work is great. I mean, it looks great. It's the sequences that do pop up, you know, Batman fighting a bunch of people, Batman fighting Superman himself and whatever. It's good. It's very well done. I will say that the actual Batman vs. Superman fight was a little bit underwhelming, but that's just me. I'm kind of nitpicking with that one because the fight itself didn't really last very long. Now, how about the plot of this movie? It is convoluted. This plot is a mess. I mean, you have so many different subplots in there and so many different motivations for characters that you have to keep track of. It kind of detracts from the enjoyment of the movie because there's so much for you to keep your mind on. If they had kept it just as Batman vs. Superman without having to shoehorn Doomsday in there, which they did, if you saw in the trailers basically spoiled everything for this movie. They shoehorned in Doomsday for this movie. If they had just kept it as Batman vs. Superman fighting, I think that the plot of this movie wouldn't have come out to be so all over the place. And really the only other thing that I really didn't like about this movie was the fact that they tried way too hard to set up the Justice League. I mean, I'm going to have to kind of spoil something here. There's an email that the character of Wonder Woman, played by Gal Gadot, opens up, and it basically has all the information about the future characters of the Justice League in it. You know, you got the cameos in there, you got all the information about them, you got everything wrapped up in one nice little package, and it is just way too convenient for the movie. It is way, way too convenient. And there are so many scenes in this movie that really don't feel like they're supposed to be there, that try to set up the Justice League. You could have taken these scenes out of the movie, and it would still be basically just Batman vs. Superman. It would be the same thing, except they do have these scenes in the movie that set up Justice League, and you're supposed to, you know, get hyped for and get excited about it, but you don't really feel that because all you want to see is Batman fight Superman, but that doesn't happen until like the last the last third or quarter of the movie. But did I enjoy this movie? Yes, I did very much enjoy this movie. I came out of it fairly satisfied. Yes, there were things that I didn't like about it, but you know what? There's things that I don't like about a lot of movies. Especially ones with more hype behind it than this. So I'm gonna go ahead and give Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice a 7 out of 10. Well guys, spoiler alert, I will be talking about my top 5 favorite scenes out of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. Let's go. Starting off with number 5, Bruce Wayne in Metropolis. Now after the opening credits of this movie, we find Bruce Wayne in Metropolis while the fight between Superman and General Zod is going on, and he's going in there trying to save people. And the reason that this is such a good scene is because it really sets up the motivation for Batman. It really sets up his motivation as to why he wants to go after Superman, why he wants to kill Superman, basically. Seeing people dying all over the place and people getting crushed and crippled and falling out of buildings and stuff, it really sets you up with a sense of dread. Well, with a sense of, oh my god, this is not good. And it really lends itself to Batman's character, so you can kind of feel for this character throughout the movie. And I will say the air in the movie theater got kind of heavier whenever Bruce Wayne rescues this little girl from a falling piece of debris, and he asks her where her mother is, and she points to the top of a building, but the entire building is basically blown up. Like the whole upper half of the building is just gone. And I heard people around me going, oh, or oh. I mean, this is a pretty well done scene. Number 4, Clark Kent meets Bruce Wayne. Now Lex Luthor is throwing this get-together, I guess, and both Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne were invited. And they meet up there, and this is a pretty tense scene. There is a good stare down between them. There's some good dialogue between them that really sets up, you know, how much they're going to dislike each other. And I was really into it until Lex Luthor came in with his cheesy performance and just kind of took the tension away from the moment. Bruce Wayne meets Clark Kent. Ha! I love bringing people together! Ooh, that is quite a grip. You do not want to fight with this guy. I mean, I just don't know what to make of his performance. I don't know if I love it or hate it. Number 3, rescuing the sex slaves. Now there's a subplot in there about this gang of people, I guess this mob kind of, who specialize in human trafficking. These 2 cops find a bunch of sex slaves in this abandoned house, and they go in there to try and rescue them. But they don't want to be rescued because they say that there's a devil in there. And one of the cops goes upstairs, and he's looking around, he's trying to figure out what's going on, trying to find this devil. And he finds Batman like hiding up in a corner and tries to shoot at him. Now the reason that this scene is number 3 on my list because it is a very suspenseful, tense, very, very tense scene. While this lone police officer is going around this house with his shotgun trying to figure out what's going on, I found myself holding my breath because I didn't know what to expect. And then he finds Batman, shoots at him, and then finds one of the gang members on the floor with a bat symbol branded into his chest. I mean, Batman does some fucked up things in this movie. He kills people in this movie. I mean, Batman legitimately kills people in this movie, and that's something that I think a lot of fans of Batman will be kind of disappointed about, because one of the main things that Batman does, one of his central character traits, is the fact that he doesn't kill people. He doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to be an executioner. But he's blowing people up in this movie. He's shooting people. I mean, it's pretty crazy. But that aside, this is just a very well put together scene. It is very suspenseful. It's heavy. It's claustrophobic. I mean, Zack Snyder knows how to make us not know what to expect. Number 2, the fight between Batman and Superman. Now this is the fight that everybody was waiting for. Everybody sat for 2 hours in this movie waiting for this fight. And is it a good fight? Yeah, it's a good fight. It's a little underwhelming. It's a little bit short. But it is a good fight. It starts off, Batman is basically getting his ass handed to him. And then he hits Superman with like a kryptonite gas bomb. It blows up in his face, and he's choking, and it weakens him, and Superman just starts to beat the shit out of him. And it's going pretty well for him until the kryptonite wears off, and then Superman, again, starts beating the crap out of Batman. I mean, as far as fight scenes go, this is a good, solid, very raw, powerful fight scene. I just wish that they would have made it longer. I wish they would have expanded it a bit more. But that's just me nitpicking, I guess. Number 1, the climax. Now this is where Doomsday pops up, and Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman all have to band together to fight him. And this is actually a really exciting fight scene. It is very, very well done. It's intense. It is adrenaline filled. It is fast. It's with good snappy cuts here and there. And it was just a lot of fun to watch. It was a lot of fun to watch these people come together to fight this new enemy. And they did Wonder Woman some good justice in this movie. I mean, she is a legitimate badass in this movie. Gal Gadot does a very good job portraying Wonder Woman. Not to mention she is... whew... wow. And then the scene basically ends with Superman dying. I mean, Superman dies in this movie. But at the same time, not really. Because it hints at the very, very end, like the literal last shot of the movie, hints at him coming back to life somehow. So I guess we'll see how they do that in future movies, but for now, for all intents and purposes, Superman's dead. That's just how it is. Well guys, that's it. That was my review for Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. I enjoyed this movie. It's a flawed movie. It is a heavily flawed movie, but I still enjoyed it a lot nonetheless. I hope you enjoyed. Hit that subscribe button, and as always, I will see you in my next review.